Folks, if you go to an HBCU game or even a black high school, there's a thing called the fifth quarter, and that's typically when the bands of both schools are playing music, sort of competing against one another. Well, in Alabama, that's what they were doing. And then police said they were trying to clear the stadium. They ordered both of the bands to stop playing music. One of them did, but then one of them did not. This took place on Thursday, where a high school band director was allegedly tased. He was tased and arrested for refusing to stop playing. Birmingham's minor high school band director, Johnny Mims, was tased by officers and faces disorderly conduct, harassment, and resisting arrest charges for not stopping his band from playing after the game. Johnny Mims and his attorney, Wanda Lynn join us right now. All right, so glad to have both of you here. So Johnny, walk us through. Game is over. Bands are playing. Is this common practice for your band and the opposing band?
Hi, Roland. Yes, this is a normal practice for bands, and it's across the country, for bands to get together and play, tunes after the game. A lot of the parents and fans of bands, look forward to the opportunity because there's opportunity to showcase just the bands at that particular time. And we were just doing what is just customary for bands to do around the country.
So how many songs normally are played, and how long do y'all normally play?
It depends. It depends on the two directors of both schools. Usually they'll get together and they be communicated ahead of time of how long that would be. A normal song will last no more than maybe 2.5 minutes. I would say 3 minutes is really pushing it. And just in this case, again, both directors got together and said, hey, we're going to do play a couple extra tunes after the game. We're just going to do 3 tunes because, of course, it's Thursday night and we want to get our kids home because we did have, a school following day. But that's the thing that the kids look forward to, is that opportunity to showcase what they've been working on all week.
So if you got 3 songs, let's say they go 2.5, 3 minutes each, 2 bands, we're talking a total of 18 minutes. How many songs had y'all played when the cops then approached you and said, stop playing music?
Both the other school and our school had both schools had already played at least 2 tunes.
So y'all just had 1 song left?
We only have 1 song left.
Okay, so the police say they were trying to clear the stadium. Was that happening? And again, is this common practice? Did anybody communicate with them? Or so how did this thing escalate to you being tased?
Again, those particular things I can't speculate on. I know typically the football teams, usually the fifth quarters that happen when both football teams are usually on the field. We have those opportunities for those teams to get together. They will usually pray, or they'll kind of go over some of the logistics or celebrate. And usually that's when the fifth quarter is happening. So you still have bodies in the stadium. You still had audience on both sides of the stadium that was listening to both bands. And so I'm not sure where what the concern was about clearing out the stadium. But again, we were just doing what we customary do. We traveled from our school over to that school to perform, and both bands have been looking forward to the opportunity to play against each other. And again, just provide good music. I mean, we work very, very hard, and so that's an opportunity for us to do those things.
All right, so again, this thing, it escalates and then you get tased. Now, the other band, I saw a story where they said the other band stopped playing. Was that actually the case?
Now, I can't of course, speculate it because the other band was on the other side of the field. Of course, my back was to that band. So once we heard the music, stop, at that point, we thinking that they're done with their song, and then we're proceeding to play our final song. And so I can't speculate what happened on the side because, of course, they were all the way on the other side of the field, and my back was turned to the other school.
So what is interesting here, again, just how this thing just sort of escalated. And so I'm still trying to understand. So walk me through. You're directing the band. How many cops approach you? What are they saying to you? Do they physically grab you off the bandstand? I mean, what happens? We've seen that we showed a video a little bit earlier. Was played again, where it was not really clear what happened here. So, what happened?
So again, both bands were trading tunes. Once we get our second song, the other band started playing, and then that's when we had a officer come up and say, "Hey, you guys need to leave." And again, that was communicated to my assistant director. By this time, I was up on the podium, which you can see in the video. When you see it, you'll see the podium right there in front, which is separated from where the students are, so that I can get up and see all of our students. And so, we were proceeding to go on and play our third song, as agreed upon by both of the directors from both schools, as we customarily do. So, we were told that we need to leave, and as we communicated, say, hey, this is our final song. We'll be leaving after that point, and that and if anything, that further allowed them to be able to clear out the stadium more as we get ready to come out of the stadium. And again, I was on the podium conducting their group before we can even get to the end of the song, which the officer at that time was pretty much yelling over the stand. As we ready trying to cut off that last song, they cut the lights off us, and so as I was telling I'm a dark-skinned guy, and so if you cut the lights off, it's going to be very difficult for me to cue the students on how to cut off, for the song, because again, they can't see me. And by this time, officer was already coming up the podium to pull me down off the podium. And again, I was pretty much confused at this time, like, hey, what did I do? Like, what am I, what's the problem? What is going on? And remember, all this is happening in front of 145 students and parents and countless other fans, again, who customarily see this happening. And so my logistics of everything, and to me, I still don't understand today why it should have escalated, because again, none of the songs we play along, that's something that the school that we attended, that's something they do on a weekend, on every week. And so I'm not sure why it escalated to the point it was. And again, my biggest thing was I was just trying, as a citizen who does what he's supposed to do. I don't cause any trouble. Was trying to figure out why I was being harassed and pulled off the podium, which could have been a deadly thing, because I could have fell off the podium because it's a couple steps up. So that's was my biggest thing behind it. And I guess I don't know if I'm not know what their intentions was about, but I think it's definitely something that should have never happened.
Wanda Lynn, have you communicated with the police, but talk about their actions? Anything like that?
I have been in communication with the city attorney. First of all, thank you for having us on tonight, Roland. But I've been in communication with the city attorney, as well as the Alabama Education Association, parents, students, local pastors. And it's been a very long day, but one of the things that we've been doing, or I attempted to do, was gather as much information. I have asked that these officers and the sergeant, however, be placed on administrative leave, because regardless of what may have happened to begin this initiation or initiated this process, my client did absolutely nothing that would have warranted him being tased, treated like a dog in front of his students. One of the captions today, Roland, just from AL.com, one of the local newspapers here, simply read, "in front of the students." In front of the students. I think it's deplorable, especially with us coming off the heels of the Tyree Nichols situation, to see how he was tased by officers just right up the street in Memphis, Tennessee. But I think this is a situation in which the officers, first of all, should never have approached my client. They should never engage in home rule with regards to the field of play or with the bands. That's number one. It was out of their authority to do so. To cut the lights off at the stadium while fans were present, while family members or families, as well as the students was there. And I just couldn't even imagine being in that situation on last Thursday. I feel that my client's rights have been violated, and we're going to pursue further actions against the city of Birmingham. But I do believe that these officers should be placed on administrative leave effective immediately.
But is there a standard procedure, for this? So, for instance, you have athletic leagues that regulate games along those lines. I mean, how do you make sure that this doesn't happen again? That way you leave it up to an officer. So I understand band directors making, making a decision, communicating beforehand. But to me, if this is common practice, it should be established that just like the game is 4 quarters, if you're going to have this, it should be established that after the game, the bands are going to engage in 3 songs each. It won't last total more than 20 minutes. That way you don't have these subjective decisions by these cops. Are you going to propose that be clearly stipulated by the school district?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because the band directors had already communicated in this instance, number one. They had already made the decision to have the 5th quarter. But my concern, Roland, is the actions of the officers, the excessiveness of the process. They should have been in a position on last Thursday to bring about a point of de-escalation. This right here was an overreach by those officers to purposely handcuff my client, tase him multiple times, basically throwing him to the ground. He ultimately ended up at the hospital. This was a matter of the police of Birmingham, police officers and the police force of Birmingham overstepping their bounds. This has never happened before, and it never should have happened this time, but I wholeheartedly agree with you. There should be standards that are written and put in place, but I am more concerned about the violation of home rule. There was no life, limb, or anything in jeopardy with regards to public safety. This is bad policing 101 here in the city of Birmingham, which has one of the highest crime rates, murder rates in the country. We just lost a Birmingham firefighter who was killed in the line of duty at the fire station. They've not yet identified the person who's killed them. Every day, Birmingham has 3 or 4 murders per day. Here now, it's become such a common thing that the mayor doesn't even speak on it anymore. Nobody even talks about it. But yet you would take this man, a learned professional in his craft, and basically tase him to the ground, and to the point he has to be taken to the police officer. It is an embarrassment to the sport. It's an embarrassment to those who participate in the craft of being in the bands. We all know that's what the fans come to the game for most of the time, to hear the music, to see the kids, or whether it's on the collegiate level or what have you. But this instance right here, you've seen the video, Roland. You've looked at it enough. I will go tomorrow and look at the body cam. But this, regardless of what happened, what are you charging him with? You should charge him with what you first stopped him for, and that's not a part of the charges. And the reason why is there was no justification for it.
All right, then. Well, we follow the case to see what happens next. Wanda Lynn, Johnny, we shall appreciate it. Thanks a lot.